BlackBerry, Blockbuster, Circuit City. Have you heard of any of these companies? Some of you have, some of you haven't. These companies no longer exist, and some of them were on the Fortune 500 list. In fact, 87% of companies since 1950 that were on the Fortune 500 list are no longer in business. Why? Because they were not flexible. Being flexible will keep you relevant and successful in the marketplace. My name is David. Do me a favor, if you've not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click the subscription link, click the notification link, and we'll get into this video. Okay, so small should be flexible, especially if you're in the business and you're small, but even large companies need to be flexible. But if you need to be flexible in your industry. There's a guy I know who is a very successful photographer, and back in 2012, 2013, he was going out of business. And what he actually ended up doing was teaching photography. He got on one of the websites where they promote items, and he got himself promoted as photography classes. And the guy got so much business, he didn't know what to do with it. Now he does major photography for like boats and magazines and travel agencies, and his whole business has changed. And again, he was flexible. He was going out and he was doing weddings, he was doing little niches, and he just, it dried up. And the reason why is because he was used to doing this with just word of mouth, and the whole marketplace changed, and now he's fully online. The second point that I really want to touch on here is building up a relationship with your customers, knowing who your customers are, being able to relate to them, and asking yourself, what do you want your customers to be able to accomplish with your product or your business? They're your clients. What do you want them to be able to have for doing business? What rewards, what services do you want to offer to them where they're going to be happy to be working with you? What feedback are you getting from them? Is there something that you could have provided that you did not provide in the first place? Like one of the areas in surplus funds, it does sometimes take a little while to get people paid and paperwork filed. And people are uneasy because there's a lot of money in surplus funds. There's like tens of thousands of dollars. And just the communication, I'd always hear people say like, let us know when you've opened up the documentation. Hearing that feedback has helped me out a lot. What feedback do you need to be hearing from your customers, rather than just, if you have a whole bunch of systems in place, you're not going to be having that feedback always that you need to be having. So building that rapport, knowing your customer, and being able to provide the service that you need to provide to them. Being aware of who you are in the environment is another key point in this. Now, let me talk a little bit about that, because that sounds very generic. Like, what do you mean being aware of who I am in my environment? So a lot of people that come into surplus funds that are successful, they focus on one environment, and then if they're going to grow, they grow from there. But I have people that come in that say, I'm going to do mortgage, tax, bankruptcy, and state unclaimed funds, which is 4 different areas, 4 different markets to learn, and that's a lot. You've got to learn. I mean, I get exhausted just thinking about that. But if you come in and you say, okay, I'm going to work tax overages in the state of Florida, which is what I do a lot. I'm a tax overage specialist in the state of Florida. That is my title. That is who I am. So when I call people and I use my script, I'm David from JD Vista. I'm a tax overage specialist. I've been assigned your file, and I'm here to help you collect these proceeds. With your permission, we can go forward. I'm aware of who I am. I know my position. I know how I could help them. I've built that relationship that I'm talking about. I've got that flexibility. At the same time, be aware of websites. There's 3 or 4 websites that are out there right now that weren't out there 4 or 5 years ago that you can be using, tapping in, looking at data. And then there's some counties that don't even have websites, and they don't even use this information, and you have to go down to the county, which is good because your competition is a lot less. And then measure changes that are happening in the environment. Now, right now in Florida and Ohio, there's an older generation that have bought a lot of old lots, old mobile homes, and rentals that the younger generation, their offspring, is not really taking an interest in. So they're not paying taxes on this. Because they're not paying taxes on this, there's a high amount of foreclosures that are happening with deceased going to the kids. So when I call the kids, like I remember a while ago, I called a young lady, she was in her early 20s, and the property belonged to her mom. And she's like, wow, that's just some stupid old lot next to a swamp. You're telling me I have money from that? You have to measure the changes in the environment. And what I'm saying is, as this generation moves on from Florida, maybe there won't be as many tax overages there, but maybe it'll move to Texas. And maybe in Texas, you'll see more. Maybe it'll be California next. But you have to be ready to know what's happening in your environment, what the changes are happening in your environment. And that's what these companies did, like BlackBerry, Blockbuster. I remember the war between Netflix and Blockbuster. And Netflix came out and they competed with Blockbuster by being able to mail movies. Then Blockbuster came up with the idea. Then Netflix became digital. Then Blockbuster said, okay, we're going to buy Netflix. We're just going to buy you out. And they came out and they offered Netflix a stipend, and Netflix said you need to put another zero there. And Blockbuster said, we're just going to blow you out of the water. Netflix is a Fortune 500 company. Blockbuster isn't even here anymore. You've got to know what's happening in your market. You've got to be studying. You've got to be watching people. You've got to see what other people are doing and how they're moving in the environment. Hey everyone, I want to thank you for watching this video. Do me a favor, if you like this, go and give me a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Come on, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the notification link, and I'll see you on the next video.